Meta is rolling out accounts specifically for teenagers on Facebook and Messenger here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. It's a move designed to give parents more peace of mind and keep young people safer online. Here's what Meta's Regional Policy Director, Mia Garlick, told One News.
What that sort of product feature is a heightened set of protections for young Kiwis to have an age-appropriate experience on our apps. So that is greater protections in terms of unwanted content, unwanted contact, and then also stronger time management tools, as well as some options for parental supervision as well. So with these features, we're hopeful that we can give teens a sort of a safe and positive experience online.
For more, we're joined by Dr Sam Marsh from the University of Auckland School of Population Health. Good morning. So should parents feel better? Should they have a better peace of mind because of this?
No, I wouldn't say so. I see this as tinkering around the edges. Yeah. So, Meta has known for a long time that their platforms are harming kids. These are just little minor changes. They're not going to do anything significant. In fact, research has just come in showing that the Instagram teen accounts don't really do very much. They're largely ineffective. I see this as just a way to kind of please policymakers and parents, try and make everybody feel better to avoid regulation, but not doing anything really to make big changes to things like fear of missing out and social exclusion and cyberbullying and all the ways that we know that social media is actually harming our children.
Yeah, our kids actually... I mean, I know Meta's come out and done this, but are teenagers communicating on Facebook, on Messenger? I mean, there's Snapchat, there's so many other different platforms for them, right?
Yeah, it's certainly not one of the big ones for younger people. It's more my age group. Yeah.
Meta says that it'll limit who teens can talk to and the content that they're seeing, ensuring that their time is well spent and that they actually need permission to change any of the settings on Messenger or Facebook. Again, is that going to make a difference?
I don't think so. When I look at these platforms and how they harm our kids, I think about things like the algorithm. I think about persuasive design, so that's things like the infinite scroll, getting notifications, things that just hook you in and keep you there for as long as possible. The short form videos, which we know fragments attention, and then just a lot of image-based content, which kids, compare themselves to, can lead to body image issues and eating disorders. So unless they're going to change those things, I don't really see that it's going to... I don't think parents should be, relaxed about this and think that now this is safe for their kids to be. And to be honest, those things that I just described are kind of hard-baked into the platforms themselves. That is social media. And so I don't see that they're going to change that anytime soon. It's kind of like getting tobacco companies to take nicotine out of their cigarettes.
You talk about algorithms. Can you explain the algorithm to us so that we understand it for our kids when they see certain content and then all of a sudden they're starting to see more of that content?
Yeah, so the algorithm basically works. It's like machine learning. So it's watching what your kid's doing. So how long they spend on a post, whether they like it, whether they're engaged with it, whether they don't. And it kind of forms a picture of your child and it compares it to a similar child or a similar person. And then it looks at what that person is engaging with and begins to feed that content to your child. But that doesn't mean that if your daughter is into kittens, it's going to keep on sending them kitten videos. It's going to send them stuff that they can't look away from. And that's quite different. So we know things that you can't look away from are things that enrage you, that disgust you. That's what you are more likely to engage with. And what we also know is that humans find novel content rewarding. So you do get a little bit of a hit of dopamine when you see something novel. And so this is why we're beginning to see, increasingly extreme content coming through, because our brains are actually kind of finding that rewarding, and that's another way that they hold our kids' attention on the platform.
Well, what is it doing to our kids?
So it's been linked with a whole host of outcomes. So negative impacts on depression, anxiety, self-harm, suicidal ideation, but also physical health, poor sleep, even academic performance, decreased executive function, which is, the higher thinking skills that, decision making and things like that, which we want for our kids to succeed in life.
Here's the thing though, I mean, we can't get away from it. from, you know, the evolving technology, from social media. So where is the happy medium, or is there one?
Yeah, so I think when we're talking about young children and young adolescents who are in a developmentally vulnerable window, it is, I mean, I can't think of a way to make that safe for these kids. And I think we need to begin to value our kids' brains and their development and their well-being over them fitting in. Because if I told you, tomorrow I'm going to, you know, launch a new product that is linked with all these negative outcomes, with depression, with anxiety, and then I don't think any parent in New Zealand would say, well, what are the benefits before I make a decision? You know, we wouldn't give it to our kids, but we are giving it to our kids because this has just become a social norm. So I think we really need to begin to shift away from that, shift away from it being normal that we give kids access to a harmful product.
So is there anything like that Meta could do that would keep our kids safe, or is it simply about what you're saying, as parents and as society, we need to take control of this?
Yeah, I think Meta could put age restrictions in place, and that they could enforce those age restrictions, and they shouldn't be 13, which is that, you know, the research shows girls 11 to 13 particularly vulnerable, boys 14 to 15. Let's make it 16 or something like that, and yeah, they could enforce that. I mean, it's not going to make the product safer, and I think we need to be pushing to make the product safer. But I don't think it's ever going to be safe enough for young developing brains.
It's hard the way, you know, in terms of how do you restrict that? How do you, even though you put on an age restriction, how do you actually follow through on that?
Yeah, and I think this is important because we've put age restrictions on lots of things that are difficult to enforce. So alcohol, buying alcohol is one of them. But we still know that even if it's really easy to access, so we used to have the drinking age at 20, we lowered it to 18. And despite us knowing that lots of kids were drinking underage at that time, I was one of them. When they lowered the age, we saw a significant increase in alcohol-related harm in younger people. So we do know that age restrictions can work. They, you know, and there's probably a whole lot of kids out there as well who, particularly the younger kids, who if you put an age restriction in, they're not necessarily going to want to break the law.
Very true. Dr Sam Marsh, University of Auckland, School of Population Health. Thank you.